Check mo na yung ito. Sa,
From the City Social Welfare and Development Office, and in behalf of our City Social Welfare and Development Officer, Ma'am Betty F. Mangasan, we would like to welcome you to our celebration of the National Family Week celebration with the theme Tungo sa Maginhawa, Matapat at Panatag na Pamilya Pilipino. As part of our celebration, we'd like to invite you to the series of webinars focusing on the theme Brain and Mind Health and ways to help our families live safer, healthier, and more resilient lives, especially during this
nakakon
challenging
mo
time.
naman sa
Our
FB.
resource person for this Brain and Mind Health webinars is Mr. Danilo Quinto, a leading lecturer, researcher, and wellness advocate who has regular wellness webinars on Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube channel called Talk Wellness. He has done extensive research and has a long experience on physical fitness and nutrition. He is a graduate of the United States Sports Academy on sports nutrition, mental and physical fitness. And he is the founder of the Blue Zones Wellness and Longevity Movement. So let us now welcome our Baguio boy and wellness guru, Mr. Danilo Quinto.
And now, let's all welcome the host of today's Wellness and Longevity episode, Talk Wellness, Danny Quinto.
Wala na naman, Bet.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of this Brain and Mind Health webinars. For especially, of course, for the city of Baguio, because we are celebrating the National Family Week. We apologize for last night. We had some problems with our Wi-Fi. Hopefully, we can go into this episode without any Wi-Fi problems. Just a while ago, some of our connections could not be turned on, so I'm not really sure if we have Facebook Live. But let me just go ahead. We're going to record this, and for those who may be on Facebook Live, I'll make sure that I'll send video to all of you. Okay, let me just acknowledge first the research material that I've had for the last four episodes and thank my the ones who were responsible actually for sharing their thoughts through their books. This included prominent doctors like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. David Sinclair, let me see, Dr. Andrew Whale, Dr. Daniel Amen, the brain doctor of the United States. And for tonight, a lot of the research material will be coming from Dr. Mike Bruce and Dr. Deepak Chopra. They're all doctors, although they practice the more naturopathic or integrative medicine kind. I'm thankful for those who have made some comments, especially those on Facebook Live from different parts of the world. They're all good friends of mine, and I hope they're also tuning in tonight. Okay, now a disclaimer again. Basically, I'm not a medical doctor, and so I'm not here to prescribe any procedures, medical procedures to anyone. If any one of you who are listening here have brain and mind concerns, please go to your favorite doctor or your favorite psychologist or psychiatrist. Okay? Now, tonight, we are going to be tackling a very important subject. And I believe this is one of the most important subjects when we are talking of brain and mind health. And this concerns rest and sleep. So they're, of course, interconnected with each other. When you talk about sleep, you're basically talking about rest. But of course, you can do rest naps, 15-minute naps. But when you're talking about sleep, there are certain patterns that we need to understand, and there are certain time frames wherein if you follow that time frame, especially for you, you're really going to have a very revitalizing and very helpful sleep. So let me start actually by asking all of you who are tuned in right now, listen carefully because based on the research that I have done, we have four basic chronotypes. Chronotypes meaning these are the times approximately that four different personalities or kinds of individuals should have so that they can have a maximum effect on their sleep. It also means that there's no one time frame for everyone. We have always heard it said that you need to sleep 8 hours every night. Now, basically, they've already found out that that's wrong. That was done in a Harvard study in the 1940s. But you see, the world has changed since that time, and environments have basically changed. And so, even the sleep patterns of people have changed. And so, we have four. Now, as I mentioned, some of the characteristics of these chronotypes, please note if this is you, okay? So I'll just say one, two, three, and four, and later on, I'll put the names there. But for the meantime, now, are you the kind who gives attention to detail? Ikaw ba yung madetalyado? Or are you the one who is very happy to work alone? And are you an insomniac? Nahirapan ka bang matulog? Right? So, if you are that one, you put there one. Okay? Can you just put there? Do we have Facebook? Oh, I'm very sorry. Facebook cannot be accessed right now, but I'll make sure I can share the video with our Facebook friends. Second one is, are you the kind who is hungry when you wake up? But you're friendly, you're quite easygoing, and you have good people skills. You need 7.5 to maximum of around 8 hours of sleep. Is that you? So if that's you, let's put there number two. All right. Now, if not, then are you the kind who wakes up very late? Are you that kind? You go to bed also very late at night, and your characteristic is you're very impulsive. In other words, you get addicted to a lot of things. So if that is you, that describes you, then you put the three. Okay? Okay. Now, the other one, the last one is, are you a go-getter? Ikaw ba yung talagang porsigido? Do you really regularly have leadership roles? Do you have high satisfaction for yourself? And you're the kind who eats well and who exercises regularly. So if I'm describing that type of four, okay? But I'll go into it by and by. Let's just, to perk everybody up. Are you number one, number two, number three, or number four, because you belong to different chronotypes and the amount of sleep that you need is very different. Okay, now some background on sleep para naintindihan natin. When we sleep, we go to different stages. Sure, definitely. Based on research, we actually have five stages that we go through when we go to sleep. The first part is actually the transition stage, and it's about 3 to 4% of our overall sleep time. Now, the second part is the longest part. This can take 50% of your sleep time. So if you sleep for 7 hours, 50% is 3.5 hours. So the second stage takes 3.5 hours. Okay. Now, the third and the fourth is actually very important because this is the time when you are physically restored. The third and the fourth stage. So combined sila ito. That is our physical restoration time. And it can take about 20% of your total sleep. And the last one, last stage, is our REM stage. Now, that's one that we are quite familiar with, yung REM sleep na sinasabi natin. Okay, and this is the time when we are mentally restored. So yung 3 and 4 is for physical restoration. The REM sleep is for our mental restoration. And this is also the time when you are at alpha level. Your your cycles per second for your mind is actually quite lower than your beta when you're awake. But they found out that this is a time when you're very creative. Okay, now I'll have to say something about that later. But did you know that you can actually duplicate your alpha level and then later on your theta level, even if you are awake? But you can only do that when you go into deep meditation. So one of my episodes a lot later on will be how to breathe properly and how to meditate. Now, what is important when we go to sleep, and sleep is one of the best factors to your brain and mind health and mental health. Okay, so always keep that in mind. If you are sleep deprived, then definitely you're going to have mind problems and you're going to have physical problems. Now, we just mentioned a while ago that 8 hours is not correct, not especially not for everybody. Now, Dr. Bruce, who I got the research from, actually he sleeps for around 6 hours and 15 minutes. He already timed it. So he knows what is his chronotype. So for us, we need to find out what is our chronotype and the best time we need to go to bed and the best time when we are awake. Because actually, if you are within your chronotype, you automatically wake up based on your time frame. It's very easy actually how to determine it. He tells us how to do it. He says that there's a 90-minute per cycle. Yung cycle natin is around 90 minutes. And we have 5 cycles. And so that's around 450 minutes. You divide that by 5. I hope you're taking notes or listening very intently because I don't have any PowerPoint presentations. Is around 7.5 hours. So it doesn't really add up to 8 hours. Diba? So what you need to do is to track your sleep pattern. Let's say if you go to sleep at around 12 o'clock and then when you wake up, you can track how many hours that is. If you wake up at around 8 and then you do it consistently and consistently, you will find out probably what is the time that you are going to wake up refreshed. You have to make sure that when you wake up, you're refreshed, you feel ready to go for the activities that you are going to go through in the day. But when you wake up groggy, you don't feel very well, then that's not the correct time frame for you. Or that's not the correct time that you need to go to sleep, and then you need to wake up. So you need to vary it. So you probably go, let's go to 11 o'clock, or you go to 10, or it might be better yet you start sleeping at around 9 o'clock. Okay. Now, the our modern light bulbs is one of the problems that we have basically because many years ago, hundreds of years ago, people didn't have light bulbs, so that they could just turn on the light. Unlike now, by the time many years ago, they probably just had candles, but when it was already sundown, they already know it's time to sleep. So early in the morning, they already know that it's time to wake up. So many years ago, people had 8, 9, or even more hours of sleep. Unlike now, because of the invention of the light bulb, many times it interferes with our circadian rhythm and it has put our sleep patterns into a lot of this disarray. Now, for me, let me inform you that many times in the past, I used to sleep a little bit late. I'd be doing a lot of work, writing, completing my book. I've already told you that I'm completing a book. And so when I wake up in the morning at around 12, at around 5 o'clock, I'd be very groggy actually. I'd be very groggy. And so I said, maybe I'll try what Dr. Bruce is mentioning. And what I found out that the best time for me to go to bed is actually 10 in the evening, 10 o'clock. So I'm quite prepared. I need to get prepared to go to bed before 10. Make sure that the lights are dim and make sure that there's no LED bulb there. Because did you know that the modern bulbs they emit a lot of the blue light, and blue light is going to keep you awake. Also, did you know that our cell phones they're also LED, and so they emit blue light. So if you're looking at your cell phones while in bed, it's very hard for you to go to sleep. Okay, so those are the preparations that you need to do. You have to make sure that you haven't exercised the last 3 hours before you go to bed because you'll still be agitated. And you'll find it's very hard to go to sleep. Now, I found out after some time that automatically I wake up at around 4 in the morning. 4, 4:15. And so it became quite consistent. And I found out that when I woke up at around 4, that means 6 hours to 6 hours and 15 minutes. I found out that I had very creative. My mental faculties were very clear, very creative. And so when I wake up, one of the things basically I do after doing my physical chores is to go into meditation. After praying, thanking our Heavenly Father, I go into meditation from 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that I'm quite attuned to the activities for the day. And then I go and look at my notes, make sure that I have all of my schedules figured out. My mind is quite clear. I've done that many times already. So 10 o'clock for me, and then I wake up at around 4 a.m. What's good about that is when it's very early, it's still very quiet. There are no noises there. And so you don't really get distracted. It's very good time actually to go deeply and meditate, say our prayers, and prepare for the day. By the time it's around 6 o'clock, I already do my exercises. So I found out the chronotype especially for me. Now, Dr. Bruce mentioned a very a story because he has a clinic, right? And one time there was a lady who went to him, and he was telling him about many of her physical ailments. And so, as he was probing into this lady, he found out that her sleep patterns were a little bit quite erratic. And so later on, upon probing, he found out that it was best for her actually to sleep a little bit later and to wake up later. That was her best time. She could be sleeping from 12 to 1 and then waking up at around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. The only problem is, since she was having a job which required her to be exactly at their office at 8 a.m., she was already having problems with the boss. The boss was getting tired because she was always late. She was not there at 8 o'clock. And of course, definitely 5 o'clock they should all be going, and she hasn't finished her work. And so, Dr. And that lady was telling her that she was already going to be fired because the boss was already tired with her. And he suggested that he talk to her big boss and ask if he could give her a chance to adjust her work time. So he called the boss. The boss said, "Okay, you can do what you want. It's Monday, but by Friday, I'm firing her." So, can I make an experiment? Yes, sure. He said, "Sure, go ahead." So every time he'd be in the office at 10 and she'd leave the office at around 7. Okay? So to make up for that time. And she did that consistently and she gave beautiful results with the work that she was doing in the office. And so when Dr. Bruce called the boss, the supervisor, and told her, "How is she doing?" He was very amazed because the boss told her, "Please work with my other workers because they also have difficulties with their sleep." And so they just found out that if you can adjust your time frames based on your chronotype, you will be a lot more effective and more efficient in the work that you do. Conclusion is to be more effective, but we don't do it. We have we go to work at 8 and then go out of work by 5. But without realizing that your workers, if you are the boss, ikaw yung may-ari ng business, that based on the sleep pattern of your workers, you can adjust them so much so that when they go to work, they will be more effective. Like that woman. You can tell them, okay, you come here at 10 and you leave at 7. All right? So that's just basically based on the sleep pattern. So you now see that your chronotype is very important. Okay. Now, one of the things that he wanted to clear up, Dr. Mike, is that pharmaceutical interventions like giving of the sleeping pills, like Valium and other sleeping pills, actually interferes with the natural sleep patterns. According to him, it knocks out the third and the fourth cycle of our sleep stages. Now you have to remember, what did we say about the third and the fourth stage? That is the stage when physically we're being restored. So if you take a drug, what it does is to take off your physical restoration. And so what happens is you actually feel very tired. That was based on his research. Also, at the same time, he says it's a cause. They knew that it's a cause. All of these sleeping pills, it is can be a cause for physical ailments, and it's a probable cause of Alzheimer's. It contributes to the ailment, a mind ailment called Alzheimer's, because it interferes with the natural pattern of our sleep. Now, what I'm saying is based on the results of Dr. Bruce. Okay, and I think he has data to back it up. Now, basically, ang ating brain is both chemical and electrical. All right, so it gets its feed from. I mean, it communicates by chemical and electrical means. Okay, so when it gets a stimulant, a stimulus, like for example, sunlight, it activates those chemical and electrical cells in our body, which then sends it out to the specific part of our body, either for movement, either for other things that we need to do. Okay? Now, our brain is so wired, so much though, that when you turn on your eyes and you see sunlight, and part of sunlight is actually blue, it turns off the melatonin already. So you're already awake. So the brain already sends basic hormones into the different parts of your body to stimulate them so that you're ready for physical things, for mental things. Okay, so it turns off melatonin. Melatonin is basically our sleep hormone. Now, yung atin naman na when we are awake, we have that hormone called serotonin. Okay? And so yung serotonin natin, we need to make sure that we are not carrying that hormone when we want to sleep. And if you have a blue light which serotonin likes, like stimulated blue light stimulates serotonin, it will be hard for you to transition to your sleep phase because it needs melatonin so that you can sleep. Okay. Okay. Yes. And yes, found out that if we go by our natural cycles, definitely we will have better sleep. We will be physically and mentally rested. They've tested this already because many times they have done researches. The latest research, according to him, that has been done was they put 50 insomniacs together. Okay, these are people with psychological impairments, you might say, in the mind. So they developed insomnia. And what they did is they put all of these 50 insomniacs 1 week in nature. They put them in the mountains where there are lots of trees. And when you're there, when it's nighttime, it's dark, they have to sleep. When there's daylight already, they have to wake up. And so for 1 week, they were following the circadian rhythm, the natural circadian rhythm that we should all be attuned to. And our body has been attuned to ever since, actually. Even if we are in the modern age now, we still carry that night and day circadian rhythm. They found out that after 1 week, all of those insomniacs were cured. They were all cured. All they did was to follow the natural circadian rhythm that we all have. Okay, so that's one of the things that our psychiatrists or psychologists, I think they're trained to do. They will always suggest that you go back to your natural circadian rhythm. The other one, of course, is cognitive therapy, but and the other one is definitely using medical interventions. But one of the best ways is the natural way. And I've always been espousing it ever since our episode one up to now. And it is one of the things that I'll espouse in the book that I am finishing. If we are close to the cycles that God intended us to have when we were created, then we will be a lot healthier. If we follow the natural cycles, we eat natural foods, organic, we are whole foods, because they're natural. When we eat a lot of processed foods, there's a time that we get into problems, right? And we have many processed foods, but many years ago, people did not eat processed foods. They ate naturally, and so they don't have the diseases, the modern diseases that we have. Did you know that the old societies, cancer is actually quite non-existent? There's no cancer before. Hundreds of years ago, there's none. So basically, cancer is a modern ailment. It's more disease caused by the environment that we now have, the food that we eat, our sleep patterns. Now, when I said sleep pattern, you know what? I recently heard an interview of Dr. Mike Bruce, and he gave this quote, and I'd like to quote this. Let me see, so I don't make any mistakes here. He said, a direct quote, especially for you who know somebody who has challenges regarding cancer. Because when you say the big C, many people are quite, of course, we are quite disturbed by it. We're very afraid of it. And when a family member catches cancer and the doctor says you're now in stage one, stage two, stage three, stage four, we're already thinking that there's really no way that they can recover. But one of the findings he said, and I quote, cancer cells multiply faster the more sleep deprived you are. Okay? So, meaning, he's just saying that if you're not following the natural circadian rhythms, if you get cancer cells, then they will multiply faster. And so, if you have a good sleep pattern and you eat naturally and you do all those things that are quite natural, then basically even our modern diseases like heart diseases, diabetes, and including cancer, they won't have a toe hold. He also finds out definitely that people who are sleep deprived can go into anxiety and depression and even have suicidal tendencies if they are sleep deprived. So for those of you who have, or one member of your family who has anxiety problems, they're basically depressed, or it can even go into those types that are already bipolar, let's make sure that we introduce them into their natural sleep patterns. That there's a great possibility that those things can go away. Okay? Now, the researches on sleep are basically just starting. It started 10, 15 years ago. So it's basically at its infant stage. There's still many things, according to Dr. Bruce, that we still do not know about sleep. But little by little, they're finding out a lot of those things and sharing them with us, which I was also sharing with you. When one gets full, restful sleep, we are in harmony. It's as if we are in symphony with ourselves and with the surroundings that we have. And he mentioned that, did you know, 2 years ago, I believe it was 2 years ago, that the Nobel Prize for Medicine went to some researchers for the research on the circadian rhythm of sleep. And they were basically talking about when the mitochondria is turned on and when it is turned off. And our mitochondria is basically our the powerhouse cells that we have, because that's where our energy comes from, the ATP inside the mitochondria. If you do not have a good sleep pattern, if you sleep not based on your own chronotype, then that mitochondria regularly turns off and you will feel very tired. But if you are like me, I found out when I sleep at 10 and I wake up at around 4, my mitochondria is very healthy. And so I have a lot of energy and my mind is very clear. Okay. And so now, let me now go. How many? We are now 7:05. So we're just right. We have been here for 35 minutes. Now, let me go into the concluding part and I'll tell you about the four chronotypes. And listen carefully because this has been based on basic research. Okay, now the first one, he calls these are the dolphin types. So, pag nilagay nyo kanina, one doon, when you give a lot of attention to detail, that's one of their characteristics. The dolphins, they constitute 10% of the population. So, kokonti lang ito mga ito. They are happy to work alone. Are you the kind who works alone? Are you an insomniac? Do you struggle going to sleep? These are basically the people who are insomniacs, but you wake up unrefreshed. You wake up and then by evening you're already feeling very tired. Are you the kind that's always anxious, a little bit neurotic, but you are highly intelligent? Now, based on the research, he found out that they need 6 hours of sleep. 6 hours lang yung kailangan nila. Ah, okay. Parang sa akin. A little bit. But I'm not neurotic, so that might not really be my uh, chronotype. So, are you a dolphin? Better adjust your time. Try to find out, like, how to determine our chronotype. I mentioned it a while ago. Okay. The second one, they constitute 15 to 20% of the total population. Now, these are the medium sleepers. They wake up late, but they're quite groggy. They go to bed late at night. These are the night owls. These are what he calls the wolves. These are, although they're very creative, they're also quite moody. They're impulsive and they get addicted very easily to activities. But they're out of sync. Most of the time, they're out of sync with basically generally society. What they need is around 7 hours of sleep. So these are the wolves. You might need 7 hours of sleep. So you're number three. Now the number no, that's number two. And the number three is this is the largest part. They constitute the 50% of the population. Now these are the bears are the kinds who sleep very deeply. Talagang tulog. Pag tulog yan, tulog talaga. But it's hard for them to get out of bed. They rise when there's already the sun, but upon waking up, they're very hungry. They like to eat right away. They strive to be healthy, but many times they're not quite successful. Is this you? Are we describing you? Okay. And but they are team players. When they're in a group, they're team players. They like to be there. And but they're also friendly, they're easygoing, and they have good people skills. And if that describes you, you need around 7.5 to 8 hours. Okay. These are the bears. So 50% of the population, most of the people that you know, they're bears. Okay. Now the fourth one, the last one, is this constitutes around 15% of the total population. These are medium sleep types, chronotypes. These are the ones that are very optimistic. These are the overachievers. According to him, these are the CEOs. They become entrepreneurs. They eat well. They exercise regularly. That looks like me. They have leadership roles, they have high satisfaction with themselves, but they're a little bit introverted. By the time it's evening, they get a little bit tired, so they need to sleep at around 10. So the sleep pattern is from 6 to 6:15 or even 6.5 hours. And I think that quite describes me basically. And so I said, oh, nga, no. And these are the lions. He calls them lions. So basically, there are four. The first one is a dolphin. Are you a dolphin? The second one is a bear, 50% of the population. The third one is the wolf. Are you a night owl? And the fourth one, these are the lions. They have to sleep early, around 10 o'clock, them to sleep. So try to find out what is your chronotype basically. And so if you find out what is your chronotype, then definitely you will be a lot healthier, not only in your brain and in your mind, because your REM sleep will not be too interrupted. And you'll be healthy also in your body and also in your brain, because your third and fourth stage of sleep is also there. Okay? Okay. And so good friends, I'm just thankful to be here again tonight. I'm just sorry that we don't have Facebook Live. Something happened with our Wi-Fi, like what we had last night. But I'm just thankful that we are still here on Zoom. So what I'm going to do is to, this is being recorded, I will upload it and I'll make sure that I can send some individual copies to each and every one of you. I don't know if I can do it through Facebook. Might be too large a data, but probably I can share it in your email. Or I'll find a way to upload it. What I can do basically is upload it on YouTube. So you can find it on YouTube. Okay, so that's the fifth episode that we have had. We're going to have one more. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday here in the Philippines. The sixth episode, let me do it on September 30, the last day of September. That will be Wednesday here in the Philippines. Also 6:30 p.m. up to 7:15 to close the National Family Week here in our country. I'm just thankful to be here. Wellness and longevity is my passion for many, many years now. And I've actually told, I think, you that it's right now my calling. I believe that it, it, it is one of those things that can make a big impact in the lives of others. Because if one is healthy, one lives well, then one is happier, and one can live longer and more productive life. As you can see in my shirt, live healthier, happier, longer. That is the mantra of the Blue Zones Wellness and Longevity Movement. So, in behalf of the Office of the City Social Welfare and Development, the City Nutrition Office, and the Public Information Office of the City of Baguio, this is your good friend, Danny Quinto, your wellness guru, signing out. Please stay tuned for more of this. Now, let me announce before I go that even after the National Family Week celebrations, I'm going to do many webinars, especially on what are certain activities that we can have that also enhances our mind, enhances our brain. Some of them include photography. So I can do an episode on photography. One of the things that I think I do well is photography. That was one of my passions when I was still in high school and in college. And I can tell you right now that I've participated in many exhibits. My last exhibit, together with my good friend, we call ourselves the Double Exposure, was around 2 years ago. We did an exhibit here at the SM City Baguio, uh, January of 2018. And in one episode, let me share with you some tips on photography, because when you engage into photography, into painting, and other of those cultural activities, you enhance basically your mind, right? I'll make sure that I'll invite very good photographers. Some of my good friends are photographers, so they can also share with you tips on having outstanding photographs. So, with that in mind, let me see you again on September 30, Philippine time, 6:30 p.m. for the last episode of this brain and mind health webinars for a safe, a healthy, and more resilient Filipino family. God bless everyone. Please stay brain and mind healthy. Thank you. God bless you.